The cover for this week is about how University of Oregon football coming back could pose a threat for the UO community. A recent study showed that UO was the most vulnerable college town for COVID-19 due to several factors, including lack of transportation and crowded housing. The Pac-12 raised concerns about lack of testing when they postponed all 2020 sporting events. The university plans to increase testing and focus on groups of students, such as those in large fraternity and sorority houses. This concern of football posing a community health risk has been seen in other college towns. For example, at Alabama, their head football coach recently tested positive for COVID-19. For the cover, we had some great photos of Autzen Stadium, where the University of Oregon football team plays, taken by photo editor Maddie Knight. The photos included details like the UO logo, locks on the gates, and the trees changing color. The first photo I looked at was of a gate outside of Autzen with a lock. There are two UO logos, one on the gate and one on the stadium in the background. I like this because you can clearly identify the university. The lock adds more to the story and how football is closed off to fans. The light also hits the metal O on the gate really well. There was a good amount of room at the bottom for the text, which is good for design. The photo fit in a way that I could only see the metal O with the lock, or two UO logos, which I thought may split the focus of the cover. I also noticed the big black bar running down the logo on the gate, which split it. So I wanted to see what other photos we had of the UO logo at the stadium. The second photo I considered had Autzen more in the background with leaves surrounding it. I like that you could see the colors changing on the trees and identify that it is fall. The autumn colors also remind me of the football season. The logo was very visible, which I liked. I ended up not going with this one because I wanted to see if there were other options where you could see the stadium with more room for the text. I wanted to ensure there was enough space to put the headline, and due to the frame size of the cover, the logo and words ended up being pretty close together. I didn't want the subject of the photo and the headline to compete for the focus, and I didn't want to cover the leaves with words due to it being busy, so I went with another one. I ended up going with this photo of the stadium, but behind bars. I want returning students to remember the feeling of walking up the steps to a football game, or for new students to be able to gauge the feeling of attending one. I think the emptiness of the steps is eerie in a way because it is deserted due to the pandemic. The bars also symbolize how football operations are happening without fans, and they are locked out of it. I was deciding between green and white for the outside of the headline, and felt the green with the white outline was too dark for the photo, so I made it the opposite. I also had the headline pretty big at first on the cover, but I realized it was covering the steps of Autzen, which is something I wanted to show in this photo. I think this cover represents the story well, because it shows how football is happening, and Autzen Stadium is still there, but fans are not accessing it. We are still outside in Eugene, where our community is vulnerable and we have to be careful. I hope when people see this cover, they can remember the feeling of going to a football game and walking up the steps, but also be reminded of the current situation with the bar.